Excuse me. We got our second on-ramp day in. Thought again we moved around well, a little breezy. This is, our second, call it our day 2 install. Tomorrow we'll be into our 3rd install. This will continue. Someone asked the other day, Monday will be our first day in pads. Any questions?
On the guest committee, we saw him a couple times the last couple of days. It looks like he's doing pretty well with your.
Yeah, and look, we were all limited, because we had a rookie player who just needed some knee work, and we wanted to get him back healthy. We're getting to see a little bit more of him. That position group, I think, has looked good. Someone wrote a story about it. I think we've got good competition there. We've got good skill sets, guys that can do different things there. And historically speaking, for me, I've always believed that that depth is important because there's a lot of wear and tear in 17 weeks to play with just one runner. So, but it's good to have him out there. Yeah, and look, they'd been working credit, George and Cortland's agent, and, they spend a lot of time in the summer just discussing it. I'm not even quite sure what the specifics are, and it's good to have him back out here. He provides leadership as well as a skill set that we like, and just as we talked about the running back room, that position group is going to be interesting as you guys look at it, and try to put together and piece together. It's a big group, size-wise, and first year I ever coached in the NFL in 1997, I believe, in Philadelphia. We played the 49ers. I want to say it's 97. Could have been 98. But it was at the old Veterans Stadium, and I remember when the Niners receivers walked out, and it was Jerry Rice, and it was John Taylor, and it was Stokes, and I couldn't get over how they looked. And there is a prototype. That doesn't mean that they can't be smaller, then they have a different skill set. But in this league, that's what we're looking for, and this is a big group. Who? Not at that time yet. This is 97. He comes later.
Cortland had talked, last month about having some displeasure with his contract. How much did you talk to him specifically about that? What did you kind of tell him during the
I didn't spend a lot of, he and I would have talks just relative to what his summer plans were. And look, that was, really his agent and George visiting, and I don't think there were a lot of discussions, and I don't think there was a lot of change to the way it was structured. But it's good to have him here.
Big picture with young quarterbacks, do you talk to them about avoiding mistakes and risks versus not being afraid to take a chance?
Yeah, there's that happy medium, and I think that you can see some of that in college, relative to how they play. But these guys are doing a good job of that. They did throughout the spring. There's a calming element when you watch them, and I think all three of them know this system now, know it well enough. Obviously, they're getting more and more reps. If they didn't get a rep on a certain play in the spring, they might have had 2 reps of it already here. Bo took most of the work with the ones today. We'll keep you filled in on how we do that day by day.
Coach, you said yesterday you spent a little more time looking at defensive film. I imagine it's kind of part of your daily routine, but when you have position battles, say at corner or linebacker, do you spend even more time kind of focused on those?
Yeah, and then evening meetings discussing it. How'd today go? Where do we see these guys? Tonight we'll meet on personnel. We won't meet every night, but tonight we'll meet. We'll go through the first 2 days and then talk about, really the next 3 or 4 days.
In what ways has Zach Wilson's starting experience manifested out here compared with the other 2 guys who have 4 starts and
I think we'll be able to see that a little bit clearer in the games. But look, he's learning a new offense just like Bo is. But there's a calming presence to seeing him. You know, in other words, I think, that experience, I think you begin to appreciate what's most important maybe sometimes and not worry about some of the things that aren't as important. That takes place. And so less wasted energy maybe. Those would be a few things.
Sean, you've been very consistent with your rotations, Stidham, Nix, and then Wilson. In theory, it's Wilson's turn to play with the.
Yeah, and I said I'd fill you in tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
Because we'll see before you fill us in.
Yeah, but I'll fill you in before, when you see.
Coach, yesterday you brought up Javonte as a player who you thought stood out. Is there anyone today that really stood out to you? I know it's still early.
I try to avoid the day-to-day reports on who stood out because I like to watch the film. Defensively, I thought we made some good plays on the ball in the passing game. I thought the tight ends had a handful of catches, the group of them. Thought the runners did some good things. But let's take a look at the tape and kind of see.
Regarding the running backs, any concern about Blake Watson when you think he'll be coming back?
Yeah, I think we'll have him back sooner than later. I'm not going to have a specific timeline, but I think we'll be okay with him.
As Stearns kind of works his way back, how important is it for a couple of young guys, beyond Brandon and PJ to sort of show that they can play at safety?
Hey, they're going. They're playing right now, and I like the way they're playing. I think Caden's got a road ahead of him relative to getting healthy, but I like how that secondary's playing overall, compared to a year ago.
Is that with Caden? I know you didn't say much on that today, but just he in January seemed like he thought he was going to be involved in something this offseason. So is there
Say it again.
Caden, it seemed in January like he thought he was going to be involved.
Yeah, and I think, look, he's pushing hard in his recovery, and he's getting closer.
How helpful is it when a new player comes in, but he's played with, a college teammate with PJ and Brandon?
I think it's somewhat helpful. I mean, I don't know. It's the same thing that people asked about Troy and the young quarterback Bo Nix. Maybe there's. I think, but when you get into a different system at a different level, your focus becomes inward. Maybe your communication skills and look, those guys know each other. So I think having a friend on the team is not a bad thing.
Sean, back to Esteman, did you have to project him in the passing game a little bit? Or what was your vision?
The vision was pretty clear. This is a guy, when we did all the studies on him, we took 15-yard runs or more, first in his class, minus runs. How sometimes running backs have runs where they don't, first in his class. Real good vision in the hole. Rarely did you see a player lose yards. He had good feet for someone who was 220 pounds. So I saw runner first and value on when we took him. He was one of those guys that I really like. When the draft started, every once in a while there's a player you'd say, when this thing's all over with, I'd love to have this player. And fortunately, we were able to get this player.
Looks like kind of what was your vision sort of as a receiver? Did you see?
Yeah, we saw potential in it, but we couldn't say that was the reason why we're drafting him. A little bit with Kamara, we had a receiver vision until he ran the ball for 52 yards against Arizona. Then very quickly we had a runner vision too. And so I think with Audric, we'll see how that expands. But he's smart, he's tough, and I like his size.
How's it been working with Pete since you brought him on staff? Obviously, you guys go way back. What's his addition been like for you?
I say this very respectfully, unremarkable, like he was here a year ago. We've just worked together so long. He's a great teammate. When I say that, he wears well in the building. That's a good trait to have. He gets along with others. He's smart, and he's got that same deep vocabulary and library of instances relative to what we've done offensively. And no one knows that he was an outstanding baseball player at Boston College when you looked at him. I mean, like Pete spends every summer, his family asks him, are we going to Cooperstown again? You know, I don't know how many times he's taken his family to Cooperstown. I said, Pete, take him to the beach once or something, but he's got more baseballs in his house and all of that stuff. So, and then one day Lombardi wanted just one baseball for the summer, and Pete wouldn't let him have it. He had 600 baseballs in his garage. So he's a little bit of a baseball aficionado. You guys can give him a hard time about that, but very consistent and very smart. And, you know, we're glad to have him. Thank you.